At kaugnay nga sa mga pagbabagong nagawa ni Pope Francis sa Simbahang Katolika, mga kapanayam natin si Father Francis Lucas, President ng Catholic Media Network Corporation. Magandang umaga, Father Francis. So pag-uusapan natin ngayon, tukayo nyo, si Pope Francis.
Yes, magandang umaga, Howie, at sa lahat
Merry
ating,
Christmas.
Merry Christmas sa lahat nating mga viewers.
Pero hindi katulad na ninyo, siguro yung mga magulang ninyo yung pumili ng pangalan ninyo. No? Si Pope mismo ang pumili ng Francis. So yung pagpili ng pangalan ng isang Santo Papa, it's meant to be a symbol of something. So anong bang ibig sabihin ng pagpili niya ng Francis na pangalan? At did it mean that he was promising certain things?
Well, sa buhay ko, dalawang santo nakakatakot. Yung Francis, pero niyakap ko na rin si Francis of Assisi at saka si John of the Cross, si Juan de la Cruz. Kasi lalaki ng demand sa kanilang buhay. So let's go back to Francis. Mahalaga yung pagmamahal niya sa lahat, pati nga sa nature, di ba? Pati sa mga tao, sa mahihirap. At saka sa rin yung sinabihang, build my church, yung stone by stone. So ginawa niya at binago niya lahat ng mga pamamaraan at kultura noon. At na, di ba, from riches, pumunta siya sa rags. Self-imposed. Kasi tinamaan siya talaga ng inspirasyon ng Panginoon. So nakakatakot maging Saint Francis.
But at the same time, dahil pinili niya yung Francis, tinanggap niya yung challenge niya. He's challenging himself and perhaps challenging the church.
Kaya nga first in the history of the Catholic Church namin, Pope Francis. First. Siya lang kauna-unahang pumili noon. At yun nga, ang naging inspirasyon niya ay yung pagtulong sa may hirap. Ang kanyang focus is pastoral rather than doctrinal. Mahalaga yung pareho. Pero yung fino-focus niya ngayon is pastoral, to be a pastor. Especially looking after the lost sheep. Yung mga hindi tumatama sa direksyon.
Well, kahit yung mga umaasa sa kanya na magkakaroon ng pagbabago sa simbahan, tila nagulat, no? Dito sa mga ipinakita niya just in the last several months, in his first year as Pope, no? So, is he really a game-changing Pope? Ano bang inaasahan nating makikitang pagbabago sa simbahan?
Dalawang bagay yung nakita ko dyan, no? My own way of looking at the whole picture. Unang-una, napasubo siya sa Latin America. All the problems of the poor, the injustice, the killings. Tinamaan siya agad noon. Daman-daman niya ang malaking paghihirap ng simbahan. Na na-persecute pati simbahan, na dalawa-dalawang klase ang nagdidebate running after the church.
At gusto kong sabihin na galing siyang Argentina. Doon siya naging kardinal.
Sa Latin America.
And it also had a military dictatorship like the Philippines.
Yes.
And in fact, napuna siya doon. Dahil he didn't take much of a stand daw against the military junta.
Seemingly. Seemingly, but he had his own reasons. No? Siyempre, hindi ko naman pwedeng ilagay yung sarili ko sa kanya. Pero I know that kind of crisis. I know that kind of challenge. Because I also work in the hinterland. So I would know.
And the church in the Philippines also faced the challenge of a military dictatorship. At lahat ng pari siguro sa Pilipinas were facing that kind of choice, whether to oppose or to sit on the fence or even to support the dictatorship.
And mga paring na torture, paring na matay, paring na wala. So in the Philippines,
mga paring na mundok.
Yes.
And even took up arms.
Very similar yan doon sa nangyari sa Argentina.
Kasi na-influence siya ng liberation theology. Katulad ng maraming pari din dito. So yun ang background niya. But may mga nagulat pa rin sa mga ilang statements siya. Lalo na yung tinanong siya, I think in the middle of the year, what does he think about the discrimination against homosexuals, gay priests. Ang sinagot niya doon who am I to judge them? Who am I to judge? Maraming nagulat doon kasi ang assumption ng marami ay the Pope is the ultimate judge of morality and he should be making judgments. He should be telling people what is right and what is wrong. So, kayo ba nagulat kayo sa mga ganong klaseng statement? Who am I to judge?
Sa akin hindi kasi may president yun. I am a sinner. Wow, sinong Pope nagsabing, I am a sinner, pray for me. Nung pagkatapos siya ma-elect, sa akin, sabi ko noon, well, in my former interviews before during the conclave and when he was elected, sabi ko, nako, magiging controversial Pope ito of change. Kasi sabihin niya, I am a sinner, so ganun yun. Ang tingin niya, hindi siya Diyos. Representative lang siya ni Kristo.
Kasi may notion na infallible ang Pope.
Oo, despite that infallibility, nakasama yung College of Cardinals when it comes to doctrine, but hindi ka pwedeng mag-judge. Kasi pag hindi, tataliwas ka sa Bible. Kay Matthew, di ba? At kay Luke 6, Matthew 7, clear na clear, don't judge so you will not be judged. So, pag nagpaliwanag ka na isang doktrina, nililinaw mo yan, but you never know. Kasi nga pati sa pinag-aralan namin, pag ang taong namatay, supposing sa pagkakasala, sigurado ka bang impyerno yon? Kasi immediate yung judgment ng Diyos, hindi tao. So, malay mo, baka na-inspire siya, nakapagbalik loob siya, alam lahat na, pinapag-aral namin sa theology yan. So, you don't judge people.
So, okay, malinaw po na sinasabi nyo na wala ngang conflict sa doktrina, no? Pero, alam naman natin, dito sa Pilipinas, pag tinanong mo yung isang bishop or even a priest, what do you think of homosexuals? What do you think of gays? What do you think of other, things like divorce, no? Mga issues na taliwas sa doktrina? Iba yung sasagutin ng mga maraming bishops at pari dito. They will make a judgment. They will not say, who am I to judge? They will say, mali yan. Or they will say, tama yan. Or they will make a judgment.
When it comes to doctrine, you have to tell what it is. But when it comes to how you understand the person in conflict, that's a different story. Kaya ang nakita ko kay Pope Francis, he portrays and he expresses what is deep in his heart. Hindi lang yung ano ba yung tama, ano yung mali based on doctrine. Andun yun eh. Kasi sinasabi niya palagi niya, it's not to condemn, it is to understand. It's not to scold, but it is to care for. Parang anak mo, nakita mo nang nakahikaw, nakaswag ang mga damit. Mumurahin mo ba yan? Hindi. Lalo Christmas Day na hindi kayo nag-usap buong taon, lumapit sa'yo. Mumurahin mo pa? Siyempre, akapin mo siya. Hindi mo pwedeng basta birahin ng birahin yan. Kasi
So,
paano yan? Paano babalik sa'yo yan? So he wants a church that is welcoming to everybody. That's what he says.
And that seems to be different to many.
Well,
In fact,
yes.
ang madalas nating marinig ngayon, lalo na sa mga liberal Catholics, no, na this is the Pope we have been waiting for all our lives. Kasi, aminin natin, marami din mga Katoliko na turn away sa simbahan because of the tone. Yung tono ng maraming pare na denouncing, yung iba nga nagdi-demonize, if you don't agree with the church doctrine, if you are for RH, if you are for divorce, or if you are divorced, or if you are homosexual, etc., etc., parang you're going against the church and you will go to hell. Pero wala tayong naririnig na ganun sa pinaka-leader mismo ng Catholic Church. So, how will the tone of the local or the Philippine Church now change? Dahil ganun nga yung tono ng ating Santo Papa ngayon.
Ang tono kasi ng Catholic Church in the Philippines varied. Because remember, from Vatican II, diyan talaga nagsimula yung changes.
Under Pope John the 23rd.
No? Tinuloy ni Pope Paul VI yan, tapos si John Paul JP2, yan, tapos si Benedict naman, he really tried to change the church internally. Pero sa atin sa Philippines, sabi ko, very yung reaction. After Vatican II, marami ang nag-change ng paradigm. I'd like to clarify this.
Sorry po. Just to give this context, anong taon po yung Vatican II? Many of our viewers were not even born.
1964.
So 1964. Yeah, okay.
Na tayo eh.
Yeah, opo. Vatican II. So parang masabi natin na-liberalize yung simbahan. Masses became vernacular. Diba? Kasi dati puro Latin yung mga misa. And many other changes na nagawa ng Vatican II.
Oo, marami. No? Yung Gaudium et Spes, isa sa mga paborito ko. No? So, yun ay talagang ang daming sinasabi doon.
So, sinasabi nyo, gusto ni Pope Francis na balikan itong mga reforma ng Vatican II.
Hindi niya ini-specify. Kasi yung kanya, although kinukote niya sa kanyang mga sinasabi, lalo yung latest document niya, no? Hope in faith, in evangelism, in the gospel, joy in the gospel. No? So, klarong-klaro yan. So, anyway, yung sa Philippine Church, marami naman sa mga bishops, sa mga priests, is all embracing and welcoming. So, it depends on how you look at your pastoral orientation. Ang dami sa mga pare na bumababad sa magsasaka, sa mga isda, hanggang sa ngayon, dinidepende nila, nadidemanda sila, patuloy nilang dinidefende ng nature, pag may naapi, sila yung kasama at hindi sila nagpo-pontificate. Kasi dati, ang simbahan, they are the epitome of knowledge, and the epitome of everything. They were like kings. Kasi nang nangyari sa kasaysayan ng simbahan after Constantine, di ba siya nag-legalize ng Catholicism against the persecution. So pero, times are changing like today. Let's face it. With the Google thing and the internet, the world is flat. Lahat ng alam ng pare, alam ng iba. They are lay theologians, men and women. So hindi na sikreto yan. Wala nang sikreto dyan. Walang kanya-kanya na dyan.
At saka napahayag yung mga skandalo rin ng simbahan at ang mga pare, no? And I think that's what Pope Francis has also vowed to cure or to fix.
May ginawa na nga siya na changes, no? At pati sa Vatican ngayon, may internal changes, pero yung style niya kakaiba. Yung changes na ginagawa niya, parang hindi diktatorial. Di ba, gumawa siya ng team of cardinals na kasama niya. Meron siyang parang grupo ngayon.
Meron pa siyang task force.
May
no?
task force siya.
Investigating yung child abuse ng mga ilang pare.
Yes, kasi meron na ginawang dokumento ang simbahan dyan. Panahon pa ni Benedict XVI. So yun nga, ang sinasabi ko, yung pastoral side ng gusto ni Pope Francis, no, from condemning, hindi yun, to understand. Yung understanding muna. Kaya sa families ngayon, di ba gumawa siya ng survey worldwide? Ano sinasabi ng tao about families, about this, about that? So pangalawa nga, instead of scolding, caring. And lastly, instead of truly pushing people to do more sins, you have to love them, even the sinners. Yun ang mahalaga na maging welcoming siya. Pag-usapan natin to.
So
Hindi tayo magdebate.
Okay, so basically he's setting an example in terms of emphasis. I-emphasize natin yung welcoming, hindi yung scolding. Yung inclusive rather than yung condemning. In your internal discussions sa mga bishops, sa mga pare, sa simbahan, are these messages resonating? Will we see these kinds of changes then in the tone of the church? Kasi tama yung sinasabi niyo, maraming ang pare na nakikiisa na sa mga may hirap, na laki na ng mga sakripisyo, who also have simple lifestyles. But on the other side of it, yung madalas nga nating marinig na boses ng simbahan, yung mga leader, iba yung tono nila, which is, they have condemned, they have made these judgments, they have excluded, pero iba yung tono ni Pope Francis. So do you think this kind of voice will also change? Kasi sa ngayon, yung RH battle is not over. Dun nga lumalabas itong mga very divisive voices nga na mga sinasabi nga, kinokondem nga yung mga nagdi-disagree sa kanila. So will this kind of tone also change?
The Pope is the Supreme Pontiff, especially for us, the bishops, the priests, the cardinals. So we have to toe the line. Ang mahalaga dito, yung conviction na kagaya ni Pope Francis, kalat na yan sa simbahan. Ang ginagawa niya, in-specify niya, he's giving a new direction doon sa mga maaring hindi na nagtotoo ng original, I always call it original. Because we have to look at what Christ did. Ang ginagawa lang niya talaga ngayon, pinapakita niya ano talaga yung ginawa ni Kristo. Hindi lang pomposity, hindi yung mga ek dyan, hindi. You know, it's what really Christ's message is and His life. Pasko ngayon, ano ba yung meaning ng incarnation? Ano ba talaga yung pagiging tao niya? Yun ang in-stress ng Pope ngayon. No? Okay. Example, nasabi niya, yung mga doctrine, mahalaga yan, pero sa kanyang homily ngayong Pasko, marami daw, the little has so much. And so many have so little. Matindi yun, ha? So yun ang gusto niyang pasukin din. Kasi nandyan ang Diyos. Nandyan.
Okay, well, that's very clear to many and it makes a lot of sense. And people are welcoming that message. Pero ngayon, ang tanong, how will that be operationalized dito sa mga policy issues ngayon ng simbahan, yung battlegrounds nga? Halimbawa lang, will the church now soften its opposition to something like the reproductive health law na ginawang priority ng Philippine Church yan, i-oppose. Yeah. So, will it now shift its focus, the leadership's focus to, yun nga, yung being with the poor, investigating wrongdoings, leading a simpler lifestyle, at iwanan muna natin itong mga divisive issues katulad nitong RH law?
Ang tingin ko dyan, sa doctrinal matters, klaro simbahan dyan. Hindi siya bibitaw dyan. Pero how it is expressed, how the whole gamut of what's happening in society today, babaguhin yan. Saka yung attitude. Sabi ko, nagsisimula na yan eh. So the CBCP, tamang-tama, New Year, magkakaroon sila ng mga meetings ulit, then that we'll have to see. We are left in suspense.
Okay, and so is the rest of the world about Pope Francis.
Yes.
He has only just begun.
Yes.
No? And we have a lot to look forward.
1 year. Wala pa 1 year.
Oo, we have a lot to look forward to. Many other issues na kinakaharap ng simbahan. Divorce, allowing women priests. I mean, this might end up being on his plate before his term is over, before his life is over.
Nakakatuwa nga yung kay Pope Francis 3-13-13. March 13 of March and 2013, di ba? Yung kanyang pagiging Pope.
Okay, so in terms of numerology, may significance din itong papacy na to. So, maligayang Pasko ulit sa inyo, Father Lucas. Thank you for Father Francis Lucas, tukayan ni Pope. And thank you for making time on Christmas Day to be with
Welcome
us.
and Merry Christmas to all and God bless all of us.
Maraming salamat, Father Francis Lucas.